What is happening with my peoples, man? It's your boy Demarcus, and this is another episode of the Life of a multifaceted. And I feel like Dr. Umar saying things three times. What it do to my good folks out there, man? How's my facetteers doing? Drop a one, drop a two, drop a three in the chat. You can't do that because we ain't got no chat. But drop something in the comments for your boy if you've been tuning in. And shout out to the folks that will be tuning in later. Shout out to my three followers that I still have. I think I know of two. I don't know who the third one was for sure, but it doesn't show you in the analytics. It just shows you how many people's following you, but that's beside the point. I appreciate y'all, man. This is the life of a multifaceted. And if you haven't already, follow your boy on Instagram, that man Marco. My food page is Mashing Up with Marco. Both of those are also on TikTok. Then my YouTube page is the multifacets of Demarcus, and this is where we talk about being a multifacet, the life of a multifacet, aka me, and just really being who you are, embracing that, and just being able to feel that you can have multiple things about you and not just be stuck into like one lane or one zone. So, one thing I wanted to talk about today, in the main part of the topic, I would say of today is really being independent and not isolated, but like life in my own matrix. And I would say feeling good within myself and not feeling lonely. And for everybody, this can be different, and this is something where when we think about the world, it's something that is tough for a lot of people to come by. Now, I will state that me being an only child, I kind of have some indifferences when it comes to this because oftentimes when you think about being an only child, and I've talked about this a bit in my earlier episodes, but you do have a lot of time to be by yourself and think for yourself. But what I will say is, from people that I know that have siblings, if there's kind of a gap maybe in your sibling, maybe in the age between you and your siblings, I think that there are going to be a lot of parts in which you can relate to somebody that may have grew up as an only child. And you got to think, because, or if it's someone where you had a sibling and then y'all didn't live together, maybe a step sibling. I think there's a lot of similarities because oftentimes when I think about like an only child, the things that are talked about the most are like someone that's stubborn, someone that, and that's because they're being spoiled, someone that's just getting all this attention. And obviously, I don't know how it is to grow up with a sibling, meaning where attention and things are being put in on uh, each individual differently. But when you think about growing and evolving as yourself, I've just seen where people that even have siblings, people they were just so different to where they had to, in a sense, find their own identity. And I know for me, growing up, I'm someone that connected with a lot of people, and what I felt like I had a lot of friends. I was talking to any and everyone, and I was always hanging out with people. So even though I didn't have siblings, I feel like I was always doing something. But I had to truly learn to separate myself because I had to find a way to get into my own bag, and not even from a bag of like from a money standpoint, but into my own aura, like really learn and figure out things for me because I was always around like older adults. I was always around different types of kids and stuff like that. So when I was growing up, I was always around people. And I can honestly say I was always doing something to where I didn't really take as much time to focus on myself. Like I knew that obviously playing sports, some different things that I had interest in. I seen that, but me really taking the time to sit with myself and to focus on the things that I enjoyed, that's something that didn't come to later. Maybe more so, um, kind of when I got to college, right? Because college was where I was getting into adulthood and really trying to figure out who DeMarcus was and trying to learn these different things. Obviously, I knew I was someone that was tech savvy and I liked different aspects of technology and stuff like that. But you got to think like with sports, you're always around sitting around a team. You're always around people. And then if you're in school, even with programs and organizations, you're always around people. But for me, really sitting in my talents and figuring out things that I like and enjoyed, that wasn't really something I got a chance to do as much. And then also you got to think about like, especially the environments that I come from, and even when it comes to family structure, like black family structure, a lot of times Building on something outside of sports isn't necessarily as common because people haven't had the resources, nor do they know about other individuals that are kind of going into that direction. So when it comes to really focusing on you and learning about qualities outside of sports and stuff like that, it's not common. So I will say I truly learned about the independence and truly loving on myself, honestly, when I got to college. And still, I was around other people, but I was able to find different lanes for me that I was appreciative of, and I didn't have to get somebody else's approval or rely on somebody else to tell me or make me have any type of emotion towards this particular thing. And if that didn't make sense, think about when you're growing up. Even if you're interested in something or if you want to try something out, you've got to get your parents' approval. They've got to be the ones that can drive and take you to such and such place until maybe you're 16, which if you're 16 and then you get your intermediate license or you get your permit or whatever, you still only have about like 1 year where you get to fully kind of drive on your own before you become an adult. So it's not like you got 4 years of high school unless you someone where your parents just let you do whatever and you kind of just wilding out. Like you truly only get like one true year of early adulthood where you can say I can do things on my own. But before that, like your parents are driving you places, you're relying on other people. It comes to money, making decisions like your parents or your community has to be able to sponsor that. You don't really have the capacity to make full independent decisions and to do things at the capacity that you want to. You got to wait till you become an adult. And I knew that when became an adult, and I tell you the moment that changed for me, whenever I had went to whenever I graduated and I was thinking about like playing sports, I knew that based on some of the offers or some of the letters and stuff that I was getting, I said, man, I don't even know if I want to do. I want to explore another part of myself. I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I want to spend 4 to 5 years playing basketball and this is going to be the only thing. I was like, there's some more. There's a lot more about me. There's more that I want to explore, and I'm so thrilled and blessed that I chose that because even when I went to the University of Louisville and I went to go talk to the coaches about potentially walking on or even being a manager to hopefully land a spot one day. And they said, man, we don't have any spots right now. We got too many guards. And then I left the office and I said, you know what? I said, during this is the moment where I'm deciding to not play basketball anymore. And even when I left that office, I felt happy as hell because I'm like, I finally get the chance to truly live on my own and make my own decisions. Because I felt that even growing up as an only child, and probably because of the structure in which my household was, I didn't really get to feel as free as I wanted to. And I think that's a big thing as well. Like, again, your community and the households and stuff that you're a part of can be different. My parents came from the projects in the hood. So they're going to protect me by all means. And a lot of things that I may want to try to get into or may want to explore, one, we may not have the money for it. And then two, they're just not going to have like the capacity to think outside the box, maybe because there hasn't been other people that have done it, or what it may look like to them is going to be totally different than how people describe it. But besides that, when I got to college, I said, man, you know what? We're going to figure out a way, and we're going to actually live life in a way where we get to be independent. Also, I'll say another big thing. When I think about my life, even kind of like before college, there were moments, man, where I felt left out. And I've talked about this many times where many people knew me. I was a popular type of guy, but I didn't fit into no daggone crowds. And even to this day, if somebody were to listen to this or people were to hear me speak, they would some people may even think like, man, DeMarcus is tripping. Man, DeMarcus might be crazy because, man, I was hanging out with DeMarcus, but many people never took time to really check in with DeMarcus. Many people always assumed that I had it going on, that I had an aura about me to where I was figuring it out, I was going to figure it out, or I just had a type of sauce to me where it seemed as if I had everything together. And a lot of times I didn't. A lot of times I was figuring out life. A lot of times I had a lot of insecurities where feelings and emotions and stuff that I have, I didn't even really have a space in which I can talk to people about it. But because of how I showed up, people just assumed that everything was all good, but it wasn't. And that's why I had to truly learn how to become independent and find lanes for myself because there was oftentimes I was a part of spaces or circles where I didn't feel included. And I felt that the people I was centered around, they weren't really uplifting me and they weren't really pushing me to that next level. And I had to really separate myself from a lot of things and separate myself from a lot of people. And some people, they may have been people in which I could really mingle with, and some people I can even connect with today. But because of groups that they were part of, people that they were around, I had to even remove myself from that because I couldn't even be a part of that whole ecosystem. And that's no shot to them or anything. There's people I connect with nowadays, and people that show me love where I'm like, man, I truly appreciate you. You one of the real ones. But I had to still remove myself from the ecosystem that they were a part of because the people that they were centered around and the energy that they even allowed themselves to be involved in, it just wasn't something that I could do. And I knew for me to really find myself even more, I had to get away from that. And when you truly are maturing and you're leveling up and taking a step up in your life, you've got to do that. I even noticed when I got to college, right? I got some homies, like I was talking to a couple of my homies the other day, and we were just talking about life, and they were like, "Man, Demarcus, they all one thing I'm appreciative of is these two individuals, these two brothers, man, and the brothers. They always show me love in a way to where they're uplifting and they're being able to even like a couple of my other friends that I have. Like I have a couple of dope friends, one female friend where the way in which they've been able to see me grow over time, they do it in a way to where they're truly being able to extend love and gratitude to the value that I have and that I've been able to bring. And anytime I get on the call with them, we'll talk like, a few times throughout the year because everybody's just in different trajectories in their life and everybody has different focuses. But the conversations just always feel so uplifting. And they're ones where when you're on the phone, it's not an ego type of thing. It's where people are uplifting one another and you're being able to share different parts of life because you knew where somebody was at a certain time and you know and see where they are now, so you're being able to share that and you're being able to speak about all the growth and the depth that you have as an individual. And oftentimes they share it in a way to where they're talking about how they're proud of me from where I once was to where I am now. They're like, Demarcus, you taught me so much. Your confidence allowed me to be confident, and it pushed me to be able to move to another city. And I'm someone that's very humble, but I've also had to be able to, it's not towards them, but I've had to be able to remove a bit of the humbleness because for me, when it comes to being humble, sometimes you can just be like, man, I appreciate that. You can almost put yourself on a lower tier just to make everybody else feel good. But I gotta be like, nah, Demarcus has really put in that work, and people that respect me for what I've done, it's because I've really put that work in, and because I'm someone that is truly different, and I'm someone that didn't follow into the crowd. So when my real ones like them show their appreciation and they share that, I truly appreciate it. But in the world in general and how I look at myself, I've got to really put myself on a different type of level and look at myself, not put myself on a pedestal, but I've really got to be like, hell yeah, like I really am that nigga. Like I am that dude that's really getting this shit done because the energy and stuff that I put in is different. And sometimes for us multifacets or us people that truly put time and effort into ourselves and we value ourselves in a different type of way and we put in the effort to really get the true beauty, to truly find the true beauties of life and to really um, learn how to express ourselves in different ways. We learn to get out of our comfort zones. Oftentimes we can put ourselves at a lower tier because we don't want to feel as if when we're talking about life that we're putting ourselves above others or feeling that we're being cocky, but we're not being cocky. All we doing is we talking our shit. And we have to do that because the world isn't going to appreciate or truly respect where we are. We got to be able to lead by our action. And oftentimes you're going to have a lot of people that can be talkers, but they ain't actually doing anything. And time is really passing them by. But oftentimes we're continuing to move forward and we're actually taking life for what it's worth and we're making things happen. We need to celebrate that. And the doper thing about it is the real ones in your life, they've been seeing how you've been moving, so they're going to do that for you. But you can't lower yourself because of how everybody else may feel or because you don't want to make everybody else not feel included. They got to make themselves feel included. They got to put in the time and energy for themselves. Hey, people may be in relationships, single, whatever. If they single, hey, they got to be able to make sure that they getting out of their comfort zone and truly embracing the single life before they get into a relationship. If there's someone that's not embracing their singleness and not even outside of having sex and getting into situationships, if they're not taking time to really focus on their mental, being able to um, try different things in life, or being able to learn themselves, that's on them. Because then if they get to a point to where they're trying to find happiness in a relationship and then they end up regretting that they didn't take enough time to focus on themselves, that's their fault. If they get into a relationship, right? If they get into a relationship and then they're putting so much emphasis on the relationships and they're not really putting time into getting to know themselves more or finding activities and finding people to mingle with, again, that's on themselves as well too. And I'm not even pointing out any particular person. I'm speaking in general. But what I'm talking about is when we think about ourselves, listen, I've been in relationships, I've been single. I mean, it's I've been on both sides, but in being in both situations, the biggest thing that I've told myself is I'm not going to allow me to I'm not going to allow myself to be represented by whatever situation I'm in. Like that's not going to be the only thing that I can talk about. That's not going to be my whole ecosystem. If I'm going to have a wife and kids one day, that's not going to be the only thing that makes up who Demarcus is. No, I have value. I'm someone that has so many dope things about me that I want to be able to share to the world, share to my family, and I want to be able to share to others, right? There's no reason that what you're a part of should be the only thing that you can speak on. That's a job, that could be a degree, like something that you that shouldn't be the only thing that you can speak on. You should be able to have other pieces of you. And that's where when it comes to moving in your independence, that's where you've got to truly find it as an individual. And one of my boys, he was like, man, the growth that you have. I mean, I'm sure that you've had plenty of people that have hated on you. There's been plenty of things that you've experienced and plenty of ups and downs and along with the positive. And I said, bro, yeah, there has been. And I said, I'm someone where people ain't going to admit it, but the indirect type of hate that I receive, the words that people would say and all that type of stuff, man, I took that on the chin. And there's oftentimes even I told them people that may show up in certain circles like they real positive people, or that may show up as if they're like they're community based people or whatever. Those are some of the same ones that when I'm around them, they give me different type of energy. And I told them, I said, hey, they may show y'all a different type of energy, but they may show y'all a certain type of energy, but they show me a different type of energy. And you know what happens is because sometimes people will show up in ways where they know that things are going to be cool and kosher. And that's not to take anything away from my friends, but sometimes people will show up in environments where they know that things may not be as challenging. They know that people, are going to be leveling up, but it may not be to the level to where they think that there's competition. And they feel as if like, oh, okay, like I ain't got nothing to compete with these people for. I'm never looking to compete with any of my friends. When we leveling up, we going up. Like we are trying to. I want all my people around me to be great. That's my family and everything. But you have some people where if they not looked at as a top dog, if they not looked at as somebody that's Mr. or Miss Popular, if they're not looked at as someone that's getting all this love, praise, and people's hanging on them, they feel as if their worth they feel as if they're worthless. They feel as if they don't have any type of value because all they're focused on, as I say many times, is the external validation. So sometimes, and this is just being raw, some people will go into situations, they'll be cool as hell with some other people, but in their mind, they think that they're really a weak link. So they know that some of these people that they're vibing with, hey, they may be doing good in job, relationship, but they'll be like, hey, this person over here, they gonna kind of do any and everything that I say. I know that they gonna hang on me, so you know what? It's cool to be around them because I got an entourage. Demarcus is somebody I don't move like that, and I can see it because my self awareness is up there where I've been in certain situations. I know certain friends where people have been around them. You could tell that the energy that they give them is a nut hanging type of energy because they want to try to make it seem as if they cool, everything is good with them, so they don't look like they're a bad guy. They look like they're the bad girl. At the end of the day, that's cowardly. That's insecurity. But people have to be able to get to a point to where they can say, hey, I've got to smell that this person's doing this and I've got to remove myself. And I did that a while ago. And I learned when it came to even when I was younger, where people didn't invite me to certain spaces or people was inviting everybody else, and I'd be like, "Hey man, how come you didn't tell me about such and such that was going on?" Or how come I didn't get the invite? Oh man, I just forgot, man. I didn't know if I could do this and that. Okay, but then you have to learn how to be able to take that on the chin. You've heard what somebody said, and you got to move forward. And the biggest thing that you can do for yourself is find a way to be an actionable person. Okay. People were saying that for some reason they didn't invite you or some reason they forgot about you, whatever. Go and find other people to mingle with. Go ahead and be that person that can go out to events by yourself and you're not depending on other people. For myself, there's been plenty of times I'll go out to events, I'll show up nervous as hell because naturally I have this shy piece about me. It just takes me a minute to really get involved into an environment. But I'll show up and I'm just be like, you know what, this is me pushing myself. You don't know how many times DeMarcus has had to get out of his comfort zone because I'd rather me going into a place, sweating my ass off, being nervous and not knowing what to expect than me waiting on other people and me missing out on opportunities to grow myself and to have fun because other people didn't want to show up, because other people had their own agendas. The amount of times I had to wait on people, I had to wait for a ride, I had to wait for somebody else's confirmation. I got to a point early on, and I'm so thankful for this, early on where I said, I can't do this. So that's why when after college, when my parents had got me my first car, I forget they paid like a couple thousand for it. It was something. It was a Ford Taurus. It was a smooth car, and I was so excited to get that. I said, man, when I go to college, I got my own wheels. I can move how I want to. And after my first year of college, I came back home. I worked 80 to 90 hours in a manufacturing plant. Got my bread up. Got my own system in the car. Got my own wheels. Man, I was starting to make money before a lot of other people around me was. And I was doing it while I was in college. I was taking my own summer classes. I was going out and buying my own things. I started to fund my own trips. I started to really take life into my own hands. I was paying my own bills. It was hell 3 or 4 years after that. My parents thought that I was still on their phone plan towards the end of college. I said, man, I was off y'all's phone plan my freshman year. I was already paying for my own stuff because I wanted to move independently in a way to where I was in control. I didn't want it to be like, hey man, I'm trying to upgrade my phone. I got to go through all these different things and then have to ask my parents. No, I got tired of that. I got tired of having to ask if I can go on a trip or seeing if I can go here or there, and we couldn't do it. And it wasn't no diss to my parents because I knew that they would do the best that they could for me. But growing up, we just weren't able to do that. Like, even though I grew up in a middle class family, or as far as we had like a really nice house, my parent there was just different things in which they had to focus on that we didn't really get a chance to go on family trips. We didn't get a chance to buy certain things that I wanted, even though they would do any and everything for me. But there was times where my parents was like, oh, we can't do this. That never had maybe had any type of resentment to. I truly respected that because I seen the hustle that they had. I seen the love and care that they gave to me no matter what was going on. So I said for myself, this ain't a diss. This is just pushing me to be able to find and fund the things that I want to do. Because they still got their own lives to live at the end of the day. And then I had to get to a point though to where, when Christmas and stuff come around, your parents, especially your mom, are gonna be like, DeMarcus, so what do you want? I don't know what to get you because you're buying everything for yourself. I'm like, Mom, I don't even want it. I never wanted anything. And it wasn't even just because they couldn't do it. Their presence and how they showed up for me meant more than anything. So I didn't even care if they could give me anything. You're already doing a lot for me throughout the year. I didn't need anything. So as I've gotten older, when it comes to certain type of bills and stuff like that, if I was a little bit behind, I'd be like, hey, if you, instead of getting me a gift, maybe you can help me with like, a little bit of this bill that I'm trying to pay off. But that was the real part of life where it comes to independence and it comes to being mature because instead of you going out here and buying me a ton of clothes and a bunch of bullshit, hey, I'd rather you help me with something that's going to be beneficial to my life. But you also have to be someone that thinks about that. You got to be someone that has that mindset and you have that shift because nobody's going to find that for you. You can be someone that sees people on social media trying to be cool, trying to stunt and all that type of stuff, and you can fall into that rabbit hole. I was someone when it came to fashion, it came to look and all that. That was something that came upon me later because I just didn't really. At times we didn't have the money. I didn't really kind of like have all the time to spend. I was just so focused on finding out myself where the fashion piece and looking good and all that came later. Because at the end of the day, I know I could find a pretty decent fit. And I'm like, I'm in college. Who am I trying to impress? So now, as I'm older and I have been able to get some money in my pockets, or I've been able to just take time to learn myself more, okay, now it can be more of a focus. When I was in college, I mean, I wasn't like the best dressed dude. I'd have some times where I had on some suits or whatever, but like that wasn't a priority to me. A priority for me was being able to learn more about myself and truly embrace being on my own, truly embrace finding out who DeMarcus is, being that kid that didn't understand anything, that didn't have siblings to talk to, that learned game and stuff from his father later on. But I had to be that person that was truly able to deal with life and find that out for myself. So when I have friends that embrace me and brag on me and show love, that means a lot because the time and effort that I put in to get to this point, there was a lot of stuff that I had to put in that people didn't see. There was a lot of lame motherfuckers that was hating on me, and a lot of people that done said stuff, and a lot of people that didn't show up for me, and a lot of people that didn't put time and energy into me like I put into them, and a lot of people that wasn't there. So at the end of the day, all those moments where I'm showing up for everybody else, I'm glad that I did it. I'm glad that I was able to show that love because it meant a lot to me knowing that's who DeMarcus is. But in this point now, I love where I'm at. And when it comes to as far as from a isolation perspective, I'm someone where I've showed up for myself so many times and I continue to do that. The independence is not isolation for me. I have so many dope conversations. I have different people in my life in different areas of life. They live in different places and everything where if I'm living in New York and I don't go out somewhere for a couple weeks, that's cool. I can sit in my crib and focus on my content. I can level up in so many different types of ways where it ain't about me going to a party and just meeting other people just to add to my friends list. I got dope people in my life. Everybody may be spread out, but that makes it even more dope because if I need to travel, if I want to get away, I can visit people in different areas. But I was just sitting in my bed before I even got to this podcast. I said, man, let me create an episode that talks about where I'm at now. Because when I was sitting on my phone laying in my bed, I said, man, I remember the times where I used to be sitting in my room and just feeling down on myself because I'm seeing everybody else get invited places and I'm not getting invited somewhere in high school or when I came back home. All the times where I'm wondering why ain't somebody hit me up and let me know what's going on. But now I can be in control. Now I can say, hey, today was the African American Day Parade. And I say, you know what? I felt like going, but I say, you know what? I don't feel like going today. I done been the last couple of years, and if I take about it's gonna take me about an hour to get up to Harlem. I even pushed back my keloid injection um, appointment that I was supposed to have earlier today, and I'm gonna push that back for a couple of days. But I did go to the gym though. But here was my thought process because I'm rambling. I said, let me go to the gym, then let me go get my keloid injection, then let me go up to Harlem and let me go to the African American Day Parade. Then after, I may go back and vibe with the Cuban folks again, playing drums in the park because my guy that works here, speaks Spanish only, and they be had vibing in the park. I went last week. You know what I said though? I said, man, let me just vibe today. Let me just chill. Even though I've been chilling most of the week, still knocking out my content, still being productive as hell, and it's nice as hell outside today. I said, man, let me just chill. And I was sitting back and thinking to myself, I said, the dopest thing about where I've gotten to is I'm not a person that really gets FOMO because there's so many times now where I put effort into the things in my life. I said, okay, I'm gonna take time to do all those things. Yeah, I went to the gym, but I'm about to go get the injections. I'm about to rush to get that because I was already behind. Then I'm gonna try to get up to Harlem. It's gonna take me about an hour. Then I'm probably only gonna have about 2.5 hours to enjoy the parade. Then I'm gonna go and vibe with the Cubans, and then to have a good time there, and then come back home. But I say, you know what? That stuff is something I could do on another day. Yeah, the African American parade happens one time a year, but I done been to it twice, and I vibe with my people throughout the week as it is. Okay, with the Cuban folks, I said, you know what? They're gonna be playing drums in the park. I can go another day. But I also too know for myself, I need to be working on some content. One thing that I did for myself today was going to the gym and working out. But I need to work on this content. I got some newsletters I want to put out. I got all these things in which I need to focus on for me. And sometimes what we do is we tell ourselves, man, you know what? It's nice outside today. You know what? I can get back to the things I want to do later. Like, let me just focus on having a good time out. But one time out turns into another good time out, turns into three good times out, and now you 2 to 3 months behind on releasing a simple ass video that you could have released a month or two ago. And you got to be able to have limits. But the beautiful part of what I'm saying is in the independence piece is before I used to be at a point to where I was waiting on people to hit me up, waiting on the moves that was going on, seeing what everybody else was doing. But because of over the years of me putting time and investing that into myself, I don't really get bored like that because if I feel that I'm truly bored out of my mind, Demarcus needs to get up and record a podcast episode. Demarcus needs to go on YouTube and go ahead and edit his videos and schedule something out where that content can roll out. Demarcus needs to go create a beat. Demarcus needs to go and invest some time into his food business that he's been putting off for a bit of time. I ain't gonna say putting off, but like he ain't fully invested in like he want. There's so many things that we can do. And the things that I've mentioned, I've been doing dope stuff with all of those. But sometimes we want to focus so much about what we can do on the outside, and we talk about we don't have things to do or we're bored or whatever. But how many times do you actually look in the mirror and say, I'm saying that I'm bored, but I ain't even put time into this main thing that I want to do? People hit me up like, man, I need to get into the bag like you are. I might need to get off social media for a minute and lock in. It's more than that. It's changing your mentality for real. I told myself that I got to be disciplined to the point to where I can't keep putting things off. It's not just about going out and losing some weight or whatever. I done got keloids removed. I've done had to remove myself from certain environments. I've done been treated wrong by people, but I had to continue to move forward. See, that's the thing as well too. Even when people do things to you or when you're in situations that just become messed up, that's another level of discipline that you got to learn. And I'm glad that this season allowed me to learn that as well. Because how many times when something doesn't go your way, when somebody treats you a certain type of way, when somebody does something to you, do you allow that to mess up your progress? Because you're frustrated, you're pissed off. This season has been a great time for me with that as well. I said, okay, all these things is happening to me. All these things is frustrating at the worst possible time. But we're going to make it the best motherfucking possible time that we can. And I'm cussing right now because I'm so passionate in the way that I'm speaking and what I feel because I know that for a fact where I'm at right now, I'm meant to be here. I know that for a fact the time and effort that I put into who DeMarcus is, I love it all the time. And I've had to embrace who I became every single moment. I've been talking nonstop for 33 minutes because this is my life. And I know that if somebody truly listens to this, and if you're someone that's going through a season like I've been going through, and if you've truly embraced that and you have allowed yourself to truly get the fruits of your labor and you've shown up for yourself even on the days where you did not feel like it, on the days where it truly didn't even feel like it made sense, you're going to feel what I'm saying. You're going to be appreciating yourself. You're not going to feel as if you're missing out on anything because you're putting your best foot forward with your life every single day. How can I feel as if I'm always missing out on what's going on in the external world when I'm so dope and so valuable that the world ain't even ready for what I'm about to bring to it? I don't need to be so focused on what I'm missing out there. If the world need to be ready for what I'm about to bring to it. The world need to be ready for this dope content about how I'm going to be motivating people to get into the gym. They need to be ready for when I drop these hundreds of mashups that they've been saying that they've been waiting on for forever, but they can go back and check the 60 that I did in the past year and a half. But that whole time that people think that you off the grid, you working. That's why moving in silence is so dope because when you truly put in that work, you don't need the applause. And when you truly find that value in yourself, it allows you to continue to show up for you. One person that's doing that in a dope way is my older brother. He's someone where even going through adversity in the way that he's had to in his life, I've seen it at 2 points. He still shows up and he's balling. He's balling within his brands. But he's had to find a way to show up and move in a way that has had to push him in a direction where he's had to dig deeper. And even though as far as how I'm going about it, because he has a family and I don't, there's two different ways in which you're going about it. But when you find a way to lock in on your discipline and focus on you and focus on the things that need to be done, and you truly value what you bring to this world, you're going to move in a different type of way. He's been consistent in his real estate for year after year after year, off of referrals, off of referrals, off of referrals, off of people just giving him business, and he ain't even had to. I don't even know if he's even had to cold call. And you don't just get that from just doing your job, not putting time into yourself, not believing in yourself. No, you don't just do that and then start a construction business at the same time and feel as if, oh, okay, I'm just doing it just because I got to do it. No. And he's someone where I've even told him, I said, hey, bro, I know you're putting in all this work, but like, take time to invest into yourself. Take time to focus on you. I know the business is going to be there. I know you're focused on going in hard every single day, but find something that you can do. Like, I know he's been kind of, slipping off of it a little bit, but there was one day where he was out shooting basketball. He said, man, did DeMarcus, I was listening to you. He's 13 years older than me. He said, DeMarcus, you gave me some good points. He said, one day, and then we went out to go hoop and shoot basketball. I know he ain't did that in a long minute. And he was out there, and he said it felt like he told himself he was only going to be out there for like 15, 20 minutes. He said he was out there shooting for an hour. And he was like, man, DeMarcus, I appreciate you because that allowed me to be able to separate myself from life and the business aspect and everything else that's going on, but it allowed me to be present for me. And if you think about it, sometimes it can be hard because life is just flowing and just hitting us in different types of ways, in different types of directions. But sometimes investing 20 to 30 minutes into you is nothing, because look how much time you invest into any and everybody else. Look at how much time that you waste waiting for somebody to show up for you, or someone to invite you somewhere, someone to give you this type of opportunity, when you can make things happen for yourself. But you continue to say, oh, well, I got to wait for this opportunity to happen. I got to wait for somebody to approve this, or I got to wait for somebody to get. No, because once you realize when you move forward and you allow yourself to show up in a dope type of way, you're going to realize that all those people that's talking about what they're going to do, you're going to be way far ahead of them, because most of the time with the talkers, they're doing a lot of stuff for the external validation and approval anyways. But if you're someone that can move in the direction where you want to and live your life, that's going to put you in a whole different type of lane. And when you learn that moving in the ego ain't even worth it anyways, come on, man. I even think about it for us as guys. Like, there be times where, especially when you're single, you're like, man, I got some bad chicks. You know what I'm saying? I got to let my boys know. But what? Because it's going to be a point to where even when you telling guys, they don't care anyways. It's going to be hatred. You know what I'm saying? Dude's going to be like, man, I should be in that position. Boom, boom, boom. It ain't even no point. Same way when it comes to your goals and it comes to your brands. Oftentimes, unless you telling somebody that's doing something for themselves already, they ain't really gonna care. They can be like, "Oh man, that's cool." Next time you have a conversation, they gonna forget, because they can't even find time to focus in on what they doing. So why would you think that they're gonna do that for you? And I brought up those two examples because as guys, conversations that dudes always want to have as women, and then maybe like job wise, and it's probably the same thing for women. The conversations that they have, yeah, hey girl, when you going out to this event, are you going to be doing this and that? But the point that I'm making is that, and those might be two bland examples, depending on whatever the person listening thinks. But the point that I'm making is that when you focus on ego, oftentimes you want to do things because you think it's going to give you cool points or whatever. And I brought up the women example because oftentimes when you speak to men, that's the first thing many guys want to bring up. But I respect the dudes that's like, hey man, I was out here working on some events. I got these popping. You know what I'm saying? I built some dope connections. I put myself out there. I tried to get a contract with 10 to 15 different companies and I got denied. Man, I'm gonna have way more respect for you than you telling me that you done got a bad chick out here, or you done knocked down a celebrity or whatever. Because at the end of the day, cool. I mean, so be it. You found a beautiful woman, cool. But I mean, what does that have to do with anything? You're not getting any points. That's not giving you no much. That's not giving you no more money in your pocket. That's not getting you closer in your spirituality. That's not getting you more respect out here. Like, at the end of the day, what is that doing? So when it comes to independence and you truly building, like, I'm going to respect the people that's truly leveling up. Even if somebody says I'm in a relationship, but hey, I'm with my girl, but hey, I'm still going out here. I'm locking in. I'm going to church. I'm reading my Bible, or I found a group that I can be a part of this and that with, or even if you're somebody that's not spiritual, if you say, hey, I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna meet different people and I'm finding a different community, I respect the hell out of that. Because you said, even though I'm with someone, even though that I'm a part of this union, if you're married or whatever, you're saying I can't base my whole life on, and I don't want my whole ecosystem to be derived from being with this person. I don't want that to be the talking point. I don't want how is my relationship going to be the main conversation every single time. I want to talk about me, because at the end of the day, without me, this relationship wouldn't happen. You got to have two people to be in a relationship. So I've rambled for about 40 minutes, and the whole point of this video was just talking about independence and how I felt when it comes to being independent and not isolating. And I remember so many moments to where I felt that I needed to depend on people. I felt that I had to wait on somebody else to go to an event. I felt that I had to wait on somebody else's approval to allow me to even want to move forward, even outside of my parents, because I felt if other people didn't find this as dope, then I may not be as dope as I think it is. But until I started to really put myself out there and really doing things for me and challenging myself and getting out of my comfort zone, that's when life started to change. Hell, tomorrow they got the Alchemist and Freddie Gibbs. They got their concert in Brooklyn. And I said, man, I forgot that it was coming up so quick. I said, man, let me look up tickets. Freddie Gibbs is one of my favorite artists. Alchemist is becoming, over time, one of my favorite producers, because when it comes to the producer wave, I've learned about so many producers over these past years of me growing up. I looked online, it said the tickets was $39. Now, financially, I've been in one of the most wildest times of my life. My your boy's been broke as hell. But I said, you know what? I didn't go to the parade today. I've been chilling. I said, okay, I got a little bit of money. You know what I'm saying? Well, I can do a couple things. I said, man, what is $38 to see one of your favorite artists, one of the best producers of all times, in the Brooklyn Paramount? We're gonna go buy the ticket. I bought the ticket. I'm gonna go by myself. Hey, sometimes when you don't do other things, that don't mean that it's gonna stop you from doing the next things. I done been to the parade before, but there's not gonna be too many times I can see The Alchemist and see Freddie Gibbs in concert, especially for no daggone $38. So you know what I'm gonna do? I ain't hit nobody else up to see if they want to go. I'm gonna go by my daggone self. I've been listening to the hell out of Alfredo too. I've been paying attention closely to the beats that the Alchemist been making. I'm gonna go in there and vibe, handle my business, check out a couple other events in the city this week, go home and see my family, and enjoy the time of being DeMarcus and enjoying the time of being in the presence of people that I care. That's how you focus on being independent. Taking control of your life, taking control of your days, and embracing who you are, because ain't nobody else gonna do it for you. Ain't nobody else gonna help you to find that happiness. Ain't nothing else gonna bring you happiness before your daggone self will. Things can be an extension of your money, people being around you can help to bring certain aspects, but for you to be truly happy, you gotta find that. And so today is your day, if you haven't already, to find that. If you've been able to listen to this full episode, I truly appreciate you, because it's me being real, raw, and authentic. And listen, I'm gonna be raw, I'm gonna be real. I know I have 3 people right now that's following us. I'm gonna get to a point to where I'm gonna have over 100 episodes. At the end of the day, it may only be 3 people that get a chance to truly lock in and listen to this. But you know what's so dope about that is, and I may, even with the 3 that follow me, I may only have one person that gets to the end of, I may not even have anybody that gets to the end of this episode. But I'll be able to one day look back and be able to reflect on where I was. And when I get to a dope level, or get to a very successful level that I want to get to, or when I'm speaking on stages, or when I'm sharing with people about how to be confident, when I'm talking about multifacets, when I'm sharing about insecurities, when I'm talking about working out, talking about my keloids on big stages, and people want to be like, hey man, I want to learn more about your mindset. I want to hear more about what you're talking about. You know what I'm going to refer them to? This podcast. I'm going to be like, hey, go check out episode 10. Go check out episode 1, 2. Check out episode 30 when I was really talking that stuff. Because how I'm speaking now is the same ways that I've been speaking and the same ways in which I'm going to continue speaking. So the dopest thing is for you to be able to look back and see where how you was in your bag. Because when you level up and you get to those next levels, especially if you're doing it in this type of way, people are going to be like, hey man, how'd you end up doing that? It seemed like you got, you was able to get into your bag overnight, man. It seemed like, you really took off. Nah, I've been doing this. Go check out the life of a multifaceted. Because the whole time, while you thought I was just posting some content on my stories or it didn't seem like I was really booming, I wasn't really focused on that. I was focused on telling about my life story before somebody else told it. Go listen to those other episodes. But man, I didn't really want to listen to the audio. Okay. Go check out my other videos that I've done where I was speaking about confidence over keloids. You don't have to have keloids to understand how my confidence was. And if you want someone to look at, just go look at me talk on there. Oh man, I don't really be on YouTube like that, man. I'm someone that has more of I have more of an audio taste. Bro, I already got 30 something episodes. Hey, Shawty, I got 30 episodes where I'm talking about life and leveling up. So no matter what somebody tries to bring, if they want to truly understand where you've been at, there's options for it. And that's why I decided, and shout out to my guy, Coach Drew, for the push to put out my podcast. Because it's not about trying to do things for everybody else. This is the life of a multifaceted. I am the multifaceted. This is about my life. It's about me. And this is about helping others to be able to be their best selves. I'm not out here trying to give relationship advice and tell somebody else what they need to do to get married or what they need to do to stop being single. That's pointless because at the end of the day, I can give that info and it's still not going to help people because it's bullshit. Everybody got their own situation. Everybody lives life in their own type of way. But we don't even see what people are doing behind the scenes to see why things ain't working out for them. People can show results all day long. They can say that they in a 10-year marriage is happy or whatever, but behind closed doors, they ain't truly happy within themselves. So I'm not here to be able to tell people what they should and shouldn't do. I'm here to express about what DeMarcus has done, my thought processes, ideologies that I may have, things that I may agree with and don't disagree with. But that's for you to be able to interpret it in your own way. You can give me criticism if you want to, but at the end of the day, this is for me to be able to grow and show you the life of a multifaceted, not show you the life of Dr. Phil. Like, no, I'm not trying to diagnose people or trying to get people results. If there's any type of result that I want somebody to get, is that they can become the dopest version of themselves. They can embrace themselves, share their insecurities, share all the different parts about them, share all the positives, and feel that they don't got to follow the crowds and feel that being misunderstood is so freaking valuable and it's the best thing you can do for yourself. So we're going to end on that. This is the life of a multifaceted. It's your boy DeMarcus. I've been talking for 48 minutes and it felt like I've only been talking for 10. But if this don't show you the passion and who I am and how I move, I don't know what will, and nor do I care because this is what's made me and this is what continues to make me and who I am. So it's your boy DeMarcus. I love y'all. Shout out to my faceteers, and we are out of here. Peace.